Number one mistake. People thinking that they don't need an estate plan, completely understandable. Because actually, if you're still thinking and living and you're here with me, you're saying, I don't need an estate plan. Nothing has happened to cause me to need an estate plan. And this is so understandable, human nature. We don't like to think about the fact that we will pass, and we sure hope we are never disabled. And nobody wants to think about that. So when people think that they're too young for an estate plan, I might agree that they are too young to have a will, but I will not agree that they are too young to have estate planning documents that include durable powers of attorney. So let me back up a little bit. What is an estate plan? An estate plan is a set of legal documents with the guidance that you have as to what is appropriate for you and for your situation. That's one of the reasons internet online forms don't work really well. We'll get to that. Most of us think that an estate plan is only what happens to us on our death. That is not an estate plan. That's basically what a will covers, is what happens on your death. So if you're young, absolutely you are not thinking about dying. 21-year-olds, for example, when I last looked it up, they have a life expectancy. They'll live to 76. Why in the world would a 21-year-old be thinking about an estate plan and a will? They're not going to. When you get a little older, in your 30s and your 40s, maybe you're going to say, I probably need an estate plan because I have minor children. When you get to middle age and retired, you're thinking, well, I probably need an estate plan because I have to deal with what's going to happen on my death. Yes, it's very important to deal with your assets on your death. And thinking that you're too young is kind of missing the point about the most important parts of an estate plan. So let me get into that just real quickly here. Estate planning documents typically include your will, your durable powers of attorney for finances and for health, and your healthcare directive. Those are the fundamental pieces of an estate plan. And if you don't have a will, perhaps you have a revocable living trust, and then you have a will. It's called a pour-over will to capture everything you didn't put into your trust. Those are just basics. I'm not going to get into all of those. So a young person, maybe they have no assets. And of course, they're not thinking about disability. They're invincible. Recall that when you were young. But we all do know that things happen, accidents happen, people suffer some sort of some perhaps catastrophic injury where the person cannot manage their own affairs. So what happens if they don't have their durable powers of attorney in place? And this doesn't have to be for a young person, but I'm kind of emphasizing this because if you have kids that are either college age or older, and if they don't have at least durable powers of attorney in place, if something very tragic should happen to them, they are left with an injury that doesn't allow them to manage their own affairs. You won't be able to manage their affairs for them. They won't be able to. Well, who does? This is what I'm saying. The state has an estate plan for those who have not done planning. And the state's estate plan for somebody who doesn't have a durable power of attorney in place is a court-ordered guardianship or conservatorship. The person who has lost capacity becomes a ward of the state. All of their affairs, their financial affairs, their personal affairs, their medical decisions, everything is court-ordered, court-controlled, not family-controlled. Now, maybe, the court would appoint you as a family member as a conservator of your son's estate, for example, or maybe not. Maybe it's somebody else. As I was saying, totally understandable that people don't want to think about death or disability. And I'm not expecting anybody who is younger and listening to this is going to say, oh yeah, I'm going to go out and get my durable powers of attorney. This is more for those of you who are thinking about, hey, I have an adult kid. My adult kid is married now. They don't have any estate plan in place. They certainly don't have any durable powers of attorney in place. And of course, as a parent, we never, ever want to see our children hurt. But if something were to happen, it really makes a situation far better if they have designated a trusted individual to serve as their power of attorney on their behalf, so that the court is never involved in any decisions that are made about their finances or about their health. Instead, it's the family who's involved. So that's where, people who are young, they really do need to have, at a minimum, their durable powers of attorney in place. Even if they have no assets, they need durable powers of attorney in place.